background to this webinar is really 2016, before I joined as a trustee, when the team set out their plans to build a new home and school. That's going to be the main focus of our kind of talks today. The plan is an ambitious but visionary one.
When I arrived at St George's School and Boarding Home in Madras, which is what it was called, now Chennai, way back in 1994, I was in my early 20s, and little did I know, nor any of my friends and family, that it was a place that was going to inspire us all and challenge us all for the rest of our lives. The old building, which you can see there on the screen, had always provided shelter for Anglo-Indian children in need for literally hundreds of years. The children, who you now see on the screen, regardless of the difficulties that they faced in their own homes, had the most wonderful sense of zest for life and were full of optimism and smiles. Sheltered by the old building, they played, made lifelong friendships, and demonstrated amazing creativity and resourcefulness. These sort of foundations helped them cope with everything that they had to face at home. It was a place where they could grow, and it was this magical combination of people and place that inspired us to set up the Batemans Trust and to provide the one thing that children needed, which was opportunities for the future. So it was with great sadness that, due to a change of management at St George's, with different values to our own, that we took the decision to leave St George's and develop the other projects that we'd been working on for a while, and many of you will know those, the girls' hostel, the boys' hostel, and the open school. And at that point, we were then blessed with the gift of Monica and Raglan, who you can see in this picture here. And out of this shared friendship and shared vision that the Satkaria Trust was born. The Batemans Open School has been running for many years. It's a small school for children with learning difficulties, and we set it up realising that their needs were never going to be met in the mainstream education. And Monica did a huge amount of work in the early days on developing the curriculum to support children with educational needs. Our plan is to build 2 small homes for children who can't actually live at home, and others will be offered wraparound care, because we do recognise that the best place for children to be is usually at home. So here's Celestial, as I think she was 5 or 6 there, in our project room at St George's. She's been supported right the way through her educational career, through St George's into our girls' home, and now we'll see a picture of her in a minute, as a COVID-19 nurse in Dubai. Our new school will have vocational training spaces so that everyone has the chance to shine. So as well as providing quality primary education, we hope to inspire the children with the same feelings that the St George's children have, that they're safe, that they belong to a place, and that they're free, and that they can be themselves. Only when a child has a secure base are they able to look forward and out and succeed, not just individually, but as a responsible member of their family, community, country, and our fragile world. We will continue to be able to offer Anglo-Indian families support, but also to any needy child from any community and from any religion.
I'm now an architect working in Kendal, but it has not always been this way. I started my architectural career very passionate about conservation. This is me on top of St George's School, working with some craftsmen, kind of learning my trade, but also being in admiration of the traditional skills that you can see still lingering on in Chennai, and in a way that really inspired me to look at how the buildings, the historic buildings, survived so well. So here is an instance where I'm talking and discussing with local craftsmen how they have learnt from father to son, family generation to generation, how to deal with materials, sustainable materials, renewable materials, and locally sourced materials in a way that can really outshine the concrete, the air conditioning and incessant fans that are a compulsory need for lots of sadly underperforming modern buildings. And then through my career as an architect, getting older, hair getting a bit shorter, I started to look into how we could bring this into a new building. And with a very exciting prospect, as Alex said, in 2016, of us making the mental jump to actually becoming in charge of our own destiny and helping the children directly without all of the logistics or confusions and noise of central Chennai. We were very, very lucky to find and be able to purchase this gorgeous coconut grove that you see in front of you, this aerial view, as a potential landing spot for a next phase in Batemans and Sakarya as we move towards something where we can really, really make a difference. For those of you who don't know, Chennai is an enormous city. It's got a population of 11 million. It's bigger than London. It's a very difficult city to live in, a very challenging environment. So this location here is ideal for us to start to look at how we can give a little bit of quiet and calm and peace. Originally, and these are very, very early sketches, something that Alex and I really discussed on a basic level, but it was trying to get the principles of what I probably repeat a lot, and apologies for that, but I think it's really critical, is that we're using traditional local materials in a way that can help us to almost harness the natural environment there. This is another sketch where we're looking at specific sizes as well as trying to incorporate those ideas of sustainability and renewability, already thinking about wind power for the borehole, rainwater harvesting for capturing water to then be able to use it within the school. Here's another idea that we were wanting, which is cooling courtyards. Again, this is a stunning courtyard within a beautiful house, but the principle is still there of a cooling courtyard. And Alex and I got very excited about the idea of this actually being quite a safe, calm space that could be used for all of the children, but potentially for some of the younger children. Kindergarten could spill into this space and have really lovely, intimate access to teaching and just pastoral care. Here is a simple roof plan showing how we might have a phased approach, but how it would ultimately come together. So we could phase each of these 4 elements separately. They all have individual access. They're over 2 floors to give a ever increasing amount of facility for the children as we bring them to the school. But also, quite excitingly, this space here that I'm kind of riddling on here is a classroom, but it also can be an event space for the children to put on shows. Alex has a long history of doing very, very successful plays with the children, and it's one of the highlights of theirs, but also our year, is to see these events, and this will bring those back to life. Now, I know that this is a very beautiful palace, but it's these principles that we were wanting to bring. And as I said earlier, the idea of stripping down this local recognised architecture, which simply has lovely colonnades, porches, high level ventilation, roof ventilation as well, all of the things which are incorporated in our sketches. And you can just get a flavour there. Obviously, this is a stunning building, and hopefully ours will be beautiful too, but it might be a little simpler than this, but the principles will remain. Here we have a building which is quite purposefully split into 3. So we have basically a girls' hostel and a boys' hostel, and these are based upon sizes that the Chennai juvenile requirements are. So they're truly spaces that should integrate what we need, but also are very much recognised by the Education Authority within Chennai. So we have done our homework. The setback actually gives us the opportunity to then have lovely play areas that are slightly divided, so we can have different types and sets of children in the corners of the plot, but give them nice sheltered. These little squiggles here are my artistic license for trees. So we have nice sheltered areas for them to enjoy and be out in. But we are now trying to really start to focus in on is our sustainability and renewables. So I've talked about the materials, but also we're in discussion to do with off-grid ultraviolet sewage treatment plant, which can make us not reliant on the vagaries of Chennai's own sewerage, but also photovoltaic cells to allow us to gain electricity, thermal arrays to give us preheating to our water, and wind turbines to help with pumping water from our already established boreholes. We're all very excited about this, and I'm really it's something which has been in our minds for some time, and I'm now at a point where I desperately want to go with a spade and start digging those first holes to get the foundations going to bring this about. But we need help to do this, and so there are two very experienced local architects in Chennai and close to Chennai who have been helping us for some time. And by some time, I mean decades in certain cases. Suhasini is an architect from Auroville, which is close to Pondicherry, which is a couple of hours south of Chennai. The chap below, Benny Kuriakosi, I have known since I was on that roof in Chennai at St. George's in 1989. So we have become old friends, and I've kept in touch with him and discussed many things with him. He is a very, very knowledgeable, wise architect who has the added bonus of being very savvy with the Chennai Municipal Development Agency. He is going to help us not only with sourcing materials alongside Suhasini, but will also guide us through the process, which is, as you probably all appreciate, going to be quite complex.
It is just so exciting to see those designs sort of come to life. And I just can't help thinking how much more exciting it's going to be when they actually start being built. And obviously, the big thing that's going to help that dream become a reality is going to be money. And the really good news is that we were able to buy the plot of land to buy the school back in 2018, and that was for about £65,000. And we didn't actually have to ask our regular supporters for any additional funds to buy that land. Last year, we were also exceedingly lucky to have a very generous donation from the shareholders of a company called Merit. That donation meant that we could purchase the extra land for the boarding home. The designs allow for the school to be built in phases. So it's roughly, if it's going to be 4 phases, it's roughly 70k per phase. We have got enough money to start phase 1 of the build, which is fantastic. So that means as soon as the permissions are in, we can start. And, you know, hopefully it won't be too long until we actually have the school up and running. But that does mean that we need £210,000 to finish the job and actually make that vision a reality. About a third of our income comes from people who sponsor children or give a regular donation. That only costs £15 a month, and ideally we're aiming to increase that to at least half. We'd like half our income to come from sponsorship. This obviously will allow us to sort of plan more effectively for the future, and it does mean that other fundraising events, we can put more of that towards the build rather than towards our day-to-day running costs. We do have some fundraising campaigns that is now particularly targeted towards funds for the build. So we've launched what we called our Grand 100 campaign, and the aim of that is to find 100 people or organisations or groups who can each pledge to raise £1,000 over a year. But if you want to take up that challenge and be part of the Grand 100 campaign, please do get in touch with us. Given we need to raise such a lot of money, we are also hoping to attract sponsorship from corporates and larger organisations, both in the UK and out in Chennai. We feel that this project can give companies the opportunity to be involved in something that's a long-term capital project. There might be an organisation that wants to sponsor a classroom or the building of the composting toilets or the sewerage system. So it can be a discrete part of the project that a company chooses to be involved in. So we just ask you to do all you can to, make those wonderful drawings actually come to life and be full of children laughing, playing and learning.
Chennai is getting better, and we are moving out of the lockdown. Things are getting back to normal. The last 6 months, yes, were very difficult. I think we all went through the same phase. Each one in our own place. But we've been very lucky in having the children together with us. Not one of them have gone home, and all the 30 children have been with us through these 6 months, and we've been able to keep them occupied, keep them busy, plan a lot of activities inside the house, and they've started homeschooling, and it's all going great. There's been no regrets. They're full of energy and enthusiasm, as always, and that keeps us going as well. We are so blessed to have so many people supporting us. We're so blessed to have people back at Batemans in UK to be able to support us through difficult times. It was very touching to watch Alex's story of she began at St. George's, and I've seen so many of them as well, and it's brilliant. I think that's what has given us the courage, and the inspiration to keep going. Share the vision with all of you, and we hope we will do our best to bring all your plans to life with all the children there and many more. And thank you all so much.